Our speaker this morning is Reverend Adams. Reverend Adams serves as the Dean of Spiritual Life and Equity and teaches in the Religious Studies and Philosophy Department. She lives on campus in Pine Court with her dog Daisy. Reverend Adams.
ABC resurrected one of its old popular primetime series called What Would You Do? The show is about setting up everyday scenarios and then capturing what people's reactions would be, whether they're compelled to act or to mind their own business. Often people like to say how they might act in a difficult situation, but this series looks at how they actually do respond. Take one story, for example. Two pilots were sitting at a restaurant bar, and they are drinking a lot. The people around them couldn't help but notice because the two men were very loud and very rowdy. They didn't realize that the pilots were actors and that their drinks were nothing but juice and water. Some people around them noticed them, and instead of doing anything, they joined in laughing. Other people stared at them in disbelief, and others tried their best to ignore them. One of them leans over and says, "Bartender, we only have like another 5 minutes before we return to flight. Can we get another one?" The narrator then says, "Will anyone try and stop these pilots from returning to work?" The people sitting around them couldn't believe what they were seeing. Some of them even looked visibly upset. Yet when the pilots were finished having their last round of drinks, they left the restaurant and no one said a word. When the cameras finally come through the doors and reveal to everyone that the entire thing was merely an act, one man responded, "Hey, it was none of my business." The producer then asked the guy, "But if they were your pilots about to fly your plane, wouldn't you want them to be arrested?" Then the man was speechless. On another episode, an elderly woman is at a small pharmacy attempting to purchase her medicine. And when the pharmacist says that the medicine she needs to survive is $140, the woman panics. She tells the pharmacist that she only has $20 and that she's at the end of her Social Security for that particular month. She says it's her diabetes medication and she doesn't know what she's going to do. The woman and the pharmacist were just actors, but the people around them didn't know that. Sitting in the corner was a woman who was watching their conversation take place. The woman was so upset that the pharmacist wouldn't cut the lady a break. The narrator then calls what the woman does next remarkable. The woman comes to the defense of the elderly woman. She speaks on behalf of her and then loans her the money. She didn't have all of it to loan her, but she gave her what she did have. And when the producers come out to reveal themselves, they ask the woman why she decided to step in and give her own money. The woman responds, "Well, who wouldn't?" But the reality is, there are many people who would not. The show has covered many topics. What would you do if you saw a customer yelling at a clerk who happened to have Down syndrome? Would you stop a hate crime in progress? Would you help a baby that was left in a car? Would you stop a couple from having an abusive argument? How would you react? I had to ask myself, why is this show even necessary to have? Why wouldn't someone step in on behalf of someone who is being abused or being chastised or talked about? Why would someone knowingly watch a hate crime take place and do nothing about it? Why wouldn't someone lend a helping hand to another who is in need? Since when has kindness become so unpopular? If you saw something happening, something not right, something unjust, something that could potentially harm someone else, would you step in and say something? Or would you do something? You have likely been on the set of your own What Would You Do episode many times in your life. I can imagine a few scenarios play out quite a bit here at the Hill School. So my question to all of you is not so much what would you do, but what have you done? What do you do when a situation confronts itself? You have already been faced with situations where you could have chosen to speak up or situations where you have chosen to do the right thing, but what did you do? There's a passage in the Bible many of you may have heard, no matter what religion or your beliefs are, and it says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." In other words, treat people the same way that you want them to treat you. It's a saying that many of us know really well, but I'm not quite sure that it's a saying that many of us have lived, particularly in our social and political climate that we live in now, where we're actually debating over whether human beings' lives matter, actual debates over whether we should welcome strangers who have no homes, actual debates over how to value human life. The fact that these debates are even happening at all is evidence that we need maybe to start treating others like we want to be treated. Maybe it's not necessarily a saying that many of us have actually been living. There is an assumption when you say things like treat others the way you want to be treated. There's an assumption that all of us want to be treated with kindness, with respect, with compassion or understanding or sensitivity, that if we needed mercy, then we would want to give mercy, right? That if we needed forgiveness, we'd want to be forgiven. That if we needed shelter, we would want someone to provide a place of shelter for us. There is an assumption that if we were down, that we would want someone to lend a listening ear or a helping hand. So the question is, how do you want to be treated by others? None of us wants to be treated badly. None of us wants a door shut in our face. Most of the time, we want to be offered mercy and grace when we ourselves have not been so merciful or so grace-giving ourselves. In order to be fully understanding of the concept of giving, we must spend a little time examining ourselves. Think to yourself, if the tables were turned, would I want to be treated this way? And then just let that sink in. I have this one memory. It's not a perfect memory. It sticks out of an epic fail that I had when I was in middle school, junior high, I think. For school, we would all gather out on town or in the front of the school that we would call the town or the yard, right, before the first bell rung, and we would hang out and we would talk. And there were different groups and cliques of students, and I was in my clique. Some of the girls in my friend group, we all went to the same dance school, so we were talking about the class that we were taking and who was in it, and there was a girl named Dale in the same class who I started railing on for no reason. She wasn't there, which was part of the reason why I felt the liberty to start talking about her. And I blurted out loud and I said, everybody knows that Dale can't dance. My friends got quiet. Why do you think they got quiet? Because I turned around and Dale was right behind me, right? So I nervously tried to, wrap it up and say, hey, Dale, right? She gave me this curt, hey. And I said, well, I was just playing. She rolled her eyes and walked away, and I felt so bad. The only way I thought that I could make myself look good was by talking bad about someone else. And that was so wrong. I wish I could go back to my 13-year-old self and just shake some sense into me. But it was a good moment for me because I needed a mirror put up to my wrongness. I thought I was a good person. And we all like to believe that we have the best of intentions. We all like to believe that deep down inside we have a good heart, until we're confronted with a situation or a moment that exposes our true nature and says, I might be a good person, but I've still got a lot of work to do on myself. There are still areas I need to grow up. Have any of you ever had any of these moments, those, I know my parents didn't raise me this way moments? Well, in that moment, I was being a bully and a jerk. And in that moment, I was mean and unkind for no apparent reason whatsoever other than to try and make someone else look bad because I thought it would make me look cool or I thought it would make me look good. And it wasn't. It's not just because I got caught, but because it just wasn't cool. It's not okay to be hurtful or to do malicious things for yours or others' amusement. You might be a good person deep down inside, but many good people have many bad moments, and that was a bad moment for me. We live in a day and age now where it's not cool to be kind. We live in a loveless and a cold society. It's not popular to be kind. It's not socially acceptable or even political to be kind. Where social media is the platform where most people disagree. I remember posting a few articles on Huffington Post a few years ago, and the posts were about, Jesus. And you should see the comments. I wasn't even talking about anything controversial, right? But the comment section was so disturbing with the people saying the most hateful and the most vile things for no reason at all, just because they could, just because they could hide behind a screen and say whatever they want and feel like there's no consequences to that. Have you ever seen the comment section on posts or articles? People can hide behind their profiles and say the worst things. Someone said to me recently, people are inventing new kinds of mean now. And I hate what I've been seeing online or on TV with how people are responding to others that they disagree with. You turn on the news nowadays, and we've always had a sense that, politics can be cruel, but we're living in a time where viciousness has become the norm. A long time ago in a land far, far away, we used to have this phrase that we used to say called agree to disagree. Those days seem to be long gone now. We can't even have disagreements without being cold-blooded. I think we need to go back to the basics of kindness. We need to talk about how to treat others as you would have them treat you. We need to talk about do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I, for one, would like to hear more messages about kindness, whether it's teaching or podcasts or television programs, right? About something that seems so basic and so childish, but something that we seem to not get right. I was on an airplane this summer, and there was this father with two of his kids, and the way that the seat situation was, his one child was sitting in the middle seat, he was sitting in the aisle, and his second child was sitting across the aisle from him. So the three of them weren't able to sit together. And I just so happened to have the window seat next to them. And so I just thought that it would probably be better for him if I switched seats with his son, who was in the aisle across from him. And his son took my seat. And he kept saying to me, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, your kids are little and you want to sit next to them on this 3-hour flight." And I didn't see it as a big deal. But later, when I was ordering food, I went to pay for it, and the flight attendant said to me, "Oh, no, man, no bother. The man across the aisle, he got it." And I just thought that was so kind. I kept saying to him, "Thanks so much," and it was so nice. And all the people around us were smiling because they thought it was just a really nice moment. This was a situation that reminded me that kindness does still exist. But it also taught me that we have so many opportunities and moments to be kind to each other every single day. Open the door for someone, say thank you. Those are basic. But also when you're in situations where somebody might be talking bad about somebody else, right? Whether you're an adult or a student here, it happens. Or where somebody might do something, right, to harm someone else or to hurt someone else. There's an opportunity for you to be kind. We need to practice kindness. So I don't have much more to encourage you all other than just be kind to one another. We can have so many topics and conversations about combating racism and homophobia and all the other isms, but believe it or not, it all really starts with just being kind. It's very basic. Be a kind human being. Look out for one another. Speak up on each other's behalf. Stop being mean. Stop doing hateful things. It's not okay. And rudeness is not cool or cute. I know it's difficult, but we cannot give up on love. We cannot give up on kindness.